I'm Roger Benedict, Principal Viola of the Sydney Symphony Orchestra, and in this masterclass, I'll be exploring one of the excerpts that has to be prepared for the YouTube Symphony Orchestra audition. It's from the scherzo of Mendelssohn's Midsummer Night's Dream. The piece is used for auditions as it demonstrates many important qualities orchestras look for in a player. The ability to control a spicato stroke in quiet dynamics, good rhythm, evenness of string crossings, and good use of fingerings, and of course, musicality. Make sure you do plenty of research, listen to many recordings, and if possible get a copy of the full score to see how the viola part fits into the whole. It's this vital sense of context that you have to convey in an audition. So even though you're playing all on your own, the listener should sense from your playing that you understand exactly what your instrument's role is in the excerpt. I'll play the excerpt now. I think a good tempo for this excerpt would be about dotted quaver or eighth note equals 80. And the bowing stroke is a light spiccato where the bow really dances on the string. I think it helps to remember that this music anticipates the fairies that appear at the start of Act 2 of Shakespeare's play. And with spiccato, you're working with the natural elasticity of four elements: the string, the bow hair, the bow stick, and your arm. And it's when all those elements are working well together and balanced that the spiccato will work. I think it's easier to think that the bow's bouncing on the string than bouncing off the string. We always talk about off-the-string playing, and I think that doesn't always help us. So when you practice, just practice on one note first of all. And if you make the semiquavers, the 16th notes, a little bit more closer to the string, like this, and a little bit more free movement for the quavers, it will help control that different rhythmic pattern. So make sure you're as relaxed as possible in your arm, but not too floppy in the wrist. If you're too floppy, it's hard to control the stroke. So keep everything as well balanced and relaxed as possible. Now, the most important practice tool for this excerpt is a metronome. And you'll be spending a lot of time with your metronome, so make friends with it. It's worth putting the metronome, first of all, on a quaver or eighth note. Making sure that every quaver is even. It's so easy to rush. A common fault is to play the first semiquaver late. So make sure it's really on time. So that's a really good use of the metronome. I then put the metronome on a dotted quaver. Let's say about that tempo. And here, it's very easy to rush in the crescendo, so be careful that you don't do that at the end especially. And this crescendo only needs to go to mezzo forte. Remember, it's just about fairies, so nothing too heavy. It's important in spiccato, again, that the left hand is leading, so the fingers are already down when the bow hits the string. Letter A, for example, I would keep the fingers down. So keeping your first finger down. If you do this fingering, leave the fingers down. Though you'll notice with this fingering, you've got one note on the D string, which can make it difficult to control. Another choice, which is easier for the bow, so you go to the D string for the second D of that bar. Yeah. Again, a little bit harder for the left hand, but easier for the right hand. It's always one or the other. Another really good way of using a metronome is to do this. So instead of doing, you put the metronome on, say, the second quaver of the bar. It really helps the rhythm. So you're playing against the metronome rather than with it. Another really great thing to do with the metronome, put the metronome on double speed, so there are 2 clicks per bar. You can do anything. You put the metronome on the 3rd beat of the bar, the 2nd beat of the bar, but when you're playing against the metronome, it develops much more sense of a strong internal rhythm. That's why it's so useful. Well, that covers most of the excerpt. One other thing I forgot to say, practice it in slurs as well. Again, so the left hand is really rhythmic and really controlling the string crossings. The left hand has to always be leading the movement in terms of string crossings. Okay, well, good luck. If you're successful, you'll be sitting here on the stage of the Sydney Opera House next March, and all the best of luck.